Today is Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots, chapters 7 and 8. There are 13 chapters in this book, so we're making really good progress, especially if we keep doing 2 at a time. So, chapter 7 is called The Basement. That night, Eddie sneaked out of his house and met Melody in front of the Clancy place. "Where have you been?" Melody hissed. "I've been waiting for 10 minutes. "Well, I had to wait for my dad to sack out. Did you bring your flashlight?" Melody patted a big bulge in her coat pocket. "It's right here. Let's go." Eddie paused for a minute to pull his turtleneck high up on his neck. He looked at the old house. Most of the shutters were missing and every window was dark. A streetlight cast shadows on the house. Eddie was sure he saw bats circling around the light. He took a deep breath and said, "Ready when you are." Together they sneaked up to the basement door. One of the glass panes in the door was cracked and another was completely broken. Eddie reached through the broken window and unlocked the door. The children froze as the door squeaked open, but the rest of the house remained deathly still. Melody's hand trembled as she pulled out her flashlight. "Let's get this over with," she whispered. "This place gives me the creeps." "Okay," Eddie said. "You go first. You've got the flashlight." "Here, you can have it." Melody shoved the flashlight into Eddie's chest. "Thanks a lot," Eddie said. "You're a true friend." Eddie shone the light into the dark hole leading to the basement. Cobwebs brushed their faces as they crept down the steps. "Yuck, it smells like wet socks in here," Melody complained. "Maybe it's a dead body," Eddie said. "Be serious," Melody whispered. "I am," Eddie said. Eddie shone the light all around the dusty basement. Broken chairs and cardboard boxes littered the damp floor. A long wooden box rested in the far corner. "There it is," Eddie whispered. "Do you really think it's a coffin?" Melody shuddered. "Maybe. Do you still want to go through with this?" "Are you chickening out?" Melody asked hopefully. "Not me, but if you want to, I'll understand," Eddie said. "I'm no chicken, Eddie," Melody said. "Neither am I." Eddie picked his way around the junk in the basement to the box. Melody followed silently. They stood peering down at the box. It was long enough for a grown man to lie down inside. "Do you want to open it or shall I?" Eddie asked. "We'll do it together," Melody answered. They placed their hands on the lid and lifted. "Gee, this thing won't budge," Melody gasped. "Maybe it's locked." Eddie peered at the lid, looking for a latch. "I don't see a lock." Melody felt around the edges to see if she could find the latch. "Me neither. You don't suppose it's locked from the inside, do you?" "Don't be so stupid. How could it be locked from the inside? That wouldn't be any good unless someone was inside to unlock it," Melody finished for him. Melody looked at Eddie, and Eddie looked at Melody. Then they both looked at the box. Neither of them said a word. In the chilling silence, they heard a thump. "What was that?" Melody jumped and grabbed hold of Eddie's arm. "Shh, I don't know, but whatever it was, I didn't like it." "Where did it come from?" Melody asked. "I think it came from the box," Eddie gasped. "Let's get out of here, Eddie, before we become a vampire bait." Melody grabbed Eddie's hand and started pulling him toward the door. They dodged broken furniture, jumped over boxes, and flew up the steps. They didn't bother to close the door as they rushed into the cool night air. Safely across the street, Melody and Eddie stopped to catch their breaths. "Look," Eddie pointed toward the Clancy house. A light shone through an upstairs window. They dived behind a bush and watched as a series of lights flickered on. A ghostly-looking woman opened the front door and peered in their direction. Was it their imagination, or did they really see something green flashing in the darkness of the night? That was the end of chapter 7, so now it's chapter 8. Who do you think was looking out? Do you think it was the teacher? This is getting a little scary. Okay, chickening out. "So what was in the box?" Liza asked. "Was it a body?" Howie wondered. "Or was it a vampire?" Curie asked. The small group of students were huddled under the towering oak tree. It was early, at least 15 minutes before school was to start. A nippy breeze stung their faces, and a fine layer of frost covered the ground. Eddie and Melody looked at each other nervously. They hadn't decided what to tell their friends about the night before. "Hey, I bet they've chickened out," Howie said. "Look at them. They can't say what was in the box." "I bet they didn't even go last night," Carrie said. "We did so," snapped Melody. "We both sneaked out of our houses and went to her house and into her basement." "We aren't chickens," Eddie added. "Then what did you find?" demanded Howie. "Well, the basement was really a mess," Eddie began. "It took us a while just to find the box. But when we started to open it, we heard a noise come from inside." "Inside the box?" Howie exclaimed. "Did you open it?" "No," Melody admitted, "but we tried. I think it was locked from the inside, and when we heard the noise, we figured we'd better get out of there." "That's it. Mrs. Jeepers must be a vampire. I bet that's where she sleeps at night," Carrie gasped. "I'm not so sure about that," Eddie said. After we left, we hid in a bush. A light came on upstairs. Pretty soon, Mrs. Jeepers opened the front door. If she was the vampire, then who turned on the light upstairs? Besides, Howie added, vampires don't sleep at night. The children thought hard for a few minutes. "Her husband must be a vampire, and she takes care of him," Liza said. "Maybe he doesn't come out till midnight." "I bet her husband is Count Dracula, and he has her under a spell." Melody was so excited she was almost yelling. "Good morning, children. What is all the excitement about?" Mrs. Jeepers had come up behind them without their even knowing it. She had on a black dress with a high collar and a bat bracelet, and she still wore the strange green brooch. Melody turned bright red. "Oh, nothing, Mrs. Jeepers. We were just talking about a television show we watched last night." "Oh, I never watch television. I always have too much to do," Mrs. Jeepers said. "It is time for school to begin. We had better go inside." She started walking toward the school with Liza beside her. "I've never seen a bat bracelet before," Liza told her. "Where'd you get it?" "My husband gave it to me." "Where is he?" Liza asked. "Well, I am not exactly married anymore." "How come?" Howie asked. "Are you divorced?" "My parents are divorced." "Not exactly. My husband died," Mrs. Jeepers said. "Oh, I'm sorry," Liza said sadly. "It is quite all right. Sometimes I feel as if he is still with me," Mrs. Jeepers said cheerfully. Everybody stared at Mrs. Jeepers. It seemed as if their suspicions were turning out to be true. And that's the end. So do you think it's her husband in the box? I don't know. All right. Next time, chapters 9 and 10.